Yes, it's me. It's the MIC Craig, aka Mr. Impact, here with another special edition of TBN Chats. Once again, unfortunately, no Peter Nixon, but we have a great guest, one of the rising stars of British wrestling, from Kamikaze Pro to ECW to so many others around the UK. It's George Lydon. George, how are we doing?
I'm all good. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to it.
Glad we can have you on. So we'll jump straight into it, and I'll ask you this: when did you first realize that you wanted to become a wrestler? Like, what went into your thinking of, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to train. I want to be a wrestler.
Well, it was quite specific. It was one match that I saw because I was watching a bit of wrestling when I was like quite a teenage, and then I watched Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio at Halloween Havoc, and then just the way the match flowed for me, and the moves they were doing were like I couldn't even comprehend it. So I was like, well, I need to learn how they did that and stuff like that. But I've always been interested in trying to wrestle. But that match was like the one thing that made me really want to like get in the ring and actually try and wrestle. Yeah,
that match is timeless. It fits so well with today's style, almost like in any generation those two can go, and and it's blatantly obvious that they're still great. Even Rey Mysterio today is still one of the very best.
Yeah, definitely.
So how did you discover that you could train? Was it just like scrolling? How did you could be a wrestler? Did you we just on the internet and wanted to see if you could do it, or was it just something you just saw and posted somewhere? How did you discover you could?
Well, it started because I was quite young, so I didn't have any social medias or anything. So it started with me wrestling, like my friends that would come around my house. We'd watch WWE and like try the moves or whatever, and then it transitioned more into me like watching loads of wrestling, and then kind of fading away from it. And then I remember this one afternoon I was just watching it, and my parents came in and they were like, "Well, if you want to wrestle, we'll find you a school if it's something you really want to do and stuff." And then we spoke to like some schools in like the Midlands area, but some of them were a bit weird because I was like 12 at the time. I was 12 at the time. And then we found this one promotion on Facebook called PWA, and they were like, yeah, it's cool if you're like 12 because we've had like people that age come in and train with us. So if you want to come, come. And then I think it was literally the week after they sent that message, I was there, like my first session. Straight away, I was like on it.
Fair enough. I know a lot of wrestlers I've spoken to, they started fairly young, but obviously so there's a lot of promotions who won't take you on until you're 15, 16. So before the training, how did you discover wrestling? Was it you just going through YouTube, or was it a show on in the background that you thought, okay, this is pretty cool? Or how did you discover wrestling as a whole?
It was through I used to spend a lot of time at my cousin's house because my parents were working. We'd go there for like the weekends and stuff. And my cousin kind of liked wrestling, but he liked the WWE games and stuff. So I'd go around his house and play the WWE games, and kind of felt like I started to like it through the games, but I didn't think it was like kind of a real thing.
Right.
And then I was just on YouTube one day, and then because obviously I was like searching like WWE game footage or whatever, and then it was like then WWE used to post like full matches with like the little like yellow thing in the bottom left corner, which said like full length match or something. So I saw that and I was like, oh wow, it's actually wrestling, and it was was Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero when Rey debuted for WWE. Yeah, that was the first match. So I watched that, and then that's when I like proper fell in love with it, because I was like, oh wow, they're actually doing the stuff that I'm doing on the game, but better and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're again. Chavo's someone who was very underrated. He's
Definitely.
excellent at what he did, but obviously Eddie Guerrero was just on a completely other level to which everyone. So kind of got overshadowed by that. But Chavo managed to make a name for himself, which obviously now is known around the world as one of the best as well.
No, he's great.
So you mentioned that you've trained at other promotions. What led to your decision to go to train with the Kamikaze Dojo? Obviously, it produced so many incredible talent. Was that a big factor in it, or was it just I want to go as many places as possible?
It definitely was a factor. So I was going to Kamikaze shows like as soon as I started like realizing there was a scene in the Midlands. I went to like a couple Kamikaze shows at like the Empire in Coventry. And I was like watching them, and then I was just going around other training schools, and I always thought that I would always come out of the sessions thinking, oh yeah, that was good, but I kind of feel like I could learn more in a way. It was, and the way they were training kind of didn't suit me. Some training schools. And then I remember I was just speaking to Chantal Jordan at a pro wrestling subjective show, and I was like, well, I'll probably come down Cami one time, because it's just to try it out, because I was going through a period of like trying out like loads of schools just to see which one suited me the best, because I was training from like 2 other places, and I kind of feeling myself thinking, oh, I'm not really feeling it anymore. Then I did that one Cami session. I showed up like 20 minutes late because we didn't know how early to leave for Birmingham to drive there. So I showed up like 20 minutes late, did all the cardio warm up in like one go, then went on to like working like spots and stuff. And as soon as I got there, I was like, yeah, this is definitely the training school for me. Like I loved it from there, and I haven't really like missed loads of sessions since. I've just like missed like a couple because I just love it so much. Training, it's great.
Yeah, so I was close to going to training there, and obviously, the talent who's come out of that school is insane, and some of the best wrestlers to come from the Midlands have come out of the Kamikaze Dojo. You've heard nothing but good things. And obviously, you mentioned Chantal Jordan there, who again is just on an incredible run. But you actually beat her for the Kamikaze Pro Live Championship. Yeah. How did that feel, knowing obviously the lineage of that title is incredible?
Yeah.
And beating Chantal, did you her record-breaking reign as the Pro Live champion? How did that feel, knowing that you have this title that's strapped a rocket to so many other people? How did you feel winning that championship?
Yeah, winning it was like, when I won it, I was like, oh, it's like the realization of like, it's actually happened. Because obviously when I debuted for Cami, I wrestled on like the second match of the show. Then I've like progressively got better and better and stuff. Like when I started at Cami, I was not quite the best, you could say. But I like the progression in my wrestling like through Kamikaze has been great. But when the match got announced with Chantal, obviously I'd won #1 contendership in the previous show or whatever. But when the match got announced, it was like quite surreal, because Kamikaze had always been like the benchmark I'd seen for like British wrestling. So to actually be wrestling for like, I know it's a trainee belt, but it's still a Kamikaze belt, and it's definitely been held by like the guys that went on to do like great things. So when I won it, I was like, oh, okay, I have to be like top of my level now. It's like one of these things. I have to be like one of these guys. that's been holding it and stuff. So it's quite surreal when I actually won it. But now I'm like just making sure I represent the brand well and represent Kamikaze well when I go to the promotions or when I wrestle in Kamikaze.
Yeah, and obviously you've been on the Kamikaze main show a few times now. Obviously started off with a dark match against the Kamikaze Kid and entering the Rumble, but I've wanted to talk about the the Chris Ridgeway match.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking to be front row for that one, and what a banger! When you were told about that match, what was your instant reaction? Thinking, because Chris Ridgeway, at the time he was a Progress World Champion, won half of the GHC Tag Team Champions, and he's West Carnival Pure Champion. Has faced so many people all over the world. When you were told you were getting that match, what was your immediate reaction?
Well, I got told about that match because there was a Kamikaze Pro Live show, which was like the weekend before, and the James who books the Kamikaze shows messaged me and was like, "Oh, are you available for the Mill show?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he hadn't like messaged me about the match or anything, like about who I was wrestling or whatever. So I was kind of just thinking like, oh, maybe I'm not on the show, but that's okay. I'll just come and help out. And then after I won the belt, I came backstage. I was talking to him about the match that I just had, and he was like, "Oh yeah, do you know who you're wrestling at the Mill yet? Have I told you?" And I was like, "No, you haven't told me. I thought I wasn't on it." And he was like, "Oh yeah, you're wrestling Chris Ridgeway." I was like, "Oh." It's like, "Oh, okay." That's the stress levels for me went up quite a lot because obviously like he's great and stuff, but like leading up to the match, it was like I was like really stressing about it. But on the day after I met him and introduced myself like properly, the stress wasn't like the main issue for me. I kind of like mellowed out a bit, and then obviously like the match happened and it was really good in my opinion. I really liked it. So leading up to it was very stressful, but the actual day of the show and the match itself, I was like just in the zone basically.
Yeah, and I'm sure you get over your nerves very quickly when you feel Chris Ridgway's boot on your chest.
Yeah.
I imagine that gets rid of any anxiety you're having about the match. Obviously, after the match, Ridgway, which doesn't happen a lot, grabbed the mic and really, really put you over. Did you know that was coming?
No, we basically said like after the match we were like kind of like we'll just finish it and whatever happens and stuff. And I had no idea that he'd say something like that. I thought he might do like the handshake or just like the subtle like nod to each other. But when he said that, I was kind of like I couldn't kind of believe it. And so when I watch it back, it's kind of a bit weird to think that like, oh, he said that like straight after a match with me. It's like a bit surreal. But no, when it was happening, I was like couldn't actually believe that it was happening. But then obviously like when I got backstage and like Ron was speaking to me after the match, I was like, okay, it must have been like pretty decent, for everyone to saying this. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was part of the live crowd for that match. I mean, people were on their feet afterwards. It was a fantastic match, and obviously that match then led to your Wrestle Carnival debut. And again, a great reaction for you, and you're undefeated, and you going into the Future X Cup, I believe it's called.
That's what. Yeah.
How are you feeling on that one, knowing that there'll be a lot of eyes on it in terms of British wrestling fans, and because there's a lot of future names in that. How are you feeling going into that tournament, knowing? Are you expecting much to come out of it, or are you just focusing on what's going to happen during the tournament?
Obviously, I'm focusing on like everything around it because it is a big thing that's happening on like their big return show and stuff like that. But whenever I'm about to wrestle on Wrestle Carnival, or I've got a Wrestle Carnival show coming up, I really do try and focus on it, because they are like up there with Kamikaze and all the other like really big names in the UK. But when like thinking about the tournament, it's I've only ever wrestled Nino out of the three other guys that are in it, sorry. So it's a bit weird, and I always like wrestling like new people and stuff like that. But like the actual tournament itself, it's always playing in the back of my mind. Like whenever I'm at training, I'm like, oh, I could use this in the tournament, I can use this and then use that. But when the day comes, I'll probably just see what happens. And I'd love to win it, because then obviously I'd get a chance at wrestling Doris or Leon, which would be pretty good, because those guys are like two of the best in the UK.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. I was really fortunate to have Leon Slater as our last guest, which you can go watch now. It was, I was like the reaction at the debut for Wrestle Carnival. Again, lucky enough to be front row for that, and the people involved in that match as well is like obviously had Big Guns Joe, Tommy Carl, and Jim Diehard, I believe. I mean, just what a match for one. And
right.
How did it feel to you getting that reaction? Like, were you going in thinking, "Oh, people aren't going to know me," or like, were you expecting something like that? Because it got quite loud, especially from I believe referee Steve was in the crowd as well.
Yeah, referee Steve was in the crowd. Yeah, that did help me quite a bit. But it was it was weird when I came out, because obviously when they were posted on social media saying like, oh, I was on the show and stuff, like people were like retweeting or like messaging me being like, oh yeah, that's sick, I'm coming to the show. But then it's all like good on being on like social media being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna support you, but it doesn't really like antiquate to like whatever happens in like the live setting. But I remember just coming out for that match, like my music had hit. I think I was like second out maybe, or maybe even first or something like that. And it was just like I came out and everyone was like chanting and like screaming. I was like, oh, this is sick. And then like that put me in such a good like mindset for the match. I feel like that's like one of my like best matches, especially in like multi-man settings. I think it's great. I love that match.
Yeah, did you feel like a sense of familiarity, like obviously having some friendly faces in the crowd and Colin Russell Ames on as the announcer? Did you feel that was a sense of comfort and some familiarity around it?
Yeah, definitely. I think that helped as well, because sometimes when you go to a new show and you're like, especially a show that's like big as well, there's a bit of like oh, I don't know anyone, or I don't know what I'm supposed to really be doing. But I came out and then I looked straight to like my right and had like my family and all like the people that I know like in wrestling or outside of wrestling. Then I got in the ring and then Colin announced my name. It was like a weird mishmash of like all the people that I'd already knew, but it was in this new company. And I was wrestling a bunch of guys that I'd never wrestled before, but they were all like super cool and stuff backstage. So it was like a big like circle of like just really like positive things that were happening, and then the match itself was a huge positive as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a fantastic match, and the card you were on as well. The likes of Scotty Harty and Eric Young. Did you get chance to interact with them much, or was it just being in awe from afar?
I had obviously I said hi to them and said bye to them, but I kind of left them to it. I didn't want to be like very intrusive on them, because obviously they're traveling up and down the country and stuff. Because Scotty Gartland was doing like a tour, wasn't he, of like all the big indies and stuff. But I gave him a water bottle. That was my claim to fame that show. He couldn't find any like water, and I had a spare one in my bag, so I gave him one of them. But like, no, I just tried to kind of stay away, be respectful of them. But yeah, they were great guys. You can tell by just like how they act like outside when they're talking to fans and stuff. Those guys are great.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and at least you can say you gave Scotty Harty a bottle of water. So there we go. So looking at this year and the past couple of years and all the things you've done, were you expecting any of this to happen in this relatively early on in your career? Were you expecting any of it? All the stuff you've accomplished from Carnival to facing Ridgeway, Kamikaze, and being in the Rumble with, again, a bunch of so many talented people. Were you expecting any of it?
No, because obviously, when 2022 started, it was quite a. It was not like a slow year in wrestling for me. Like I had quite a couple bookings and stuff, and I was thinking like, oh yeah, this year's going all right. Then it was just like, it just was like one good thing after another like kept happening. But when like the good thing would happen, I'd be like, well, surely it can't get any better than this. And then like another thing would happen. So the first one was like me and Kamikaze Kid doing the dark match. Like when we were doing that, we were both like, oh, this is sick, this is like really cool. And then like that happened, and then we were like, well, we've done that now. So maybe something else probably won't happen for a while. That's fine because we've done that. Then it was like the Rumble. Then it was the match with Ridgeway and stuff like that. Then it was like with a debut. So it was. I didn't think it would be as. I didn't think this year would be as good as it is, and obviously to happen quite early on in my career is like great. Because if I can get the experience wrestling like quite good guys now, then like in like a couple of years I'll probably be like way more experienced than I am now. But I didn't think it would be as good. No.
I've all of the Kamikaze matches on the main show I've been in attendance for, and it's clear how much talent you have and how much you care about what you do. So yeah. I've very much run out, and I look forward to seeing more of you in the future. So besides wrestling and training, what do you do? What do you do for fun? What's life like for George Lydon?
I do this thing. I don't really do a lot. I'm quite not a very active guy outside of wrestling. I obviously like go to the gym and stuff like that. I go to college. I have a job. I have like all the boring stuff. But yeah, I'm very interested in like music and art and films and stuff and like stuff like that. So outside of wrestling, I try and like rewind doing that basically. Yeah, but not like too much. I'm not like the outgoing type of person. I'm mainly just wrestle basically. That's me, which is a bit boring, but
nice. Fair enough. I mean, I was to mention you like music. Who's your favorite artist? If you can pick one or two.
One or two. Oh God, this is. I'll pick two bands that I quite like at the moment. They're both like hardcore bands. So yeah, one of them's called Spy. They're from, I don't know where they're from. Both of them are from America, and then the other one's called Tsunami. They're both like pretty cool bands. And I saw Spy when they first came to Birmingham, like their first ever gig in Birmingham. That's like really cool. But yeah, like those two bands are my favorite at the moment.
I haven't heard of them after go
yeah, they are.
Give them a check. So, first, what's your goal? What's left on your list to accomplish this year? And if there's anything, obviously you weren't expecting half of the stuff to happen, but if there's one thing left to take off, what would it be?
My goal for this year was actually to have like a match on a Kamikaze main show. Like that was my goal. So when that happened, it was like that was the main goal. It's the main goal for like every year that I've been training at Kamikaze. So for that to happen, it's good. But another goal that I want to do is just like make more of a conscious effort to like try and debut at more places, because I've been like some fans when they speak to me, they're kind of like, oh, where are you wrestling next? And it's always quite like Midlands based and stuff like that, like quite like the Midlands circuit and stuff. So I want to try and like debut for more places outside the Midlands, whether those like be like big or small. I don't really mind, but you know, just try and get my name out there and stuff so people get exposed to my wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, there's more than enough options out there. The British wrestling scene is on fire right now, and there's some of the best talent in the world. So there's plenty of opportunities out there. So I want to be respectful of your time, and I don't keep it too much longer. I'll finish on this. I'll finish every interview the same way.
Yeah.
In the next 3 years, where do you want to be, whether it be personally or professionally? Where do you want to be?
3 years. In 3 years, it's a tough one. I like to just be like wrestling all over the UK, or a large majority of it. And it's a real big goal of mine. Maybe not for the next 3 years, but maybe in the next 5 years to like go abroad to wrestle, like become an import and stuff like that. And like even just one show, I think it's like such a milestone in anyone's career. It'd be great to do that. Yeah, just wrestle like as many places as possible. And then I've not been in 3 years. No. I don't know, maybe like cut my hair or something. My hair's getting pretty long. But yeah, those three.
That's fair enough. It's especially with British wrestling is gaining such momentum, and it's becoming more and more recognizable names. And obviously they're going abroad, so anything is possible, especially in today's wrestling world. It's obviously you've got the likes of Leon Slater heading over to GCW, and DeReese feature on the WXW cards. Most British wrestlers feature on WXW cards.
Yeah,
there's plenty of opportunities. So I'll wrap up with that, and thank you for your time. I want to let everyone watching know where they can follow you on social medias. I mean, you can tell me Twitter if you like, if Twitter's still around by the time this interview airs.
I know, I've been seeing it might be taken down. Both my social medias, both Twitter and Instagram, is just George Lydon _. So that's it. Yeah, so both. I don't. Those are the only two I really use. I don't really use Facebook. So yeah, but just follow me on those two, and you'll be up to date with all the stuff that I've been doing. But yeah,
that's great. So obviously if the editing team got it right, your social media should be below you. So if the editing team's on it. Of course, you can follow us here, there, everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you podcast. I've been the MIC. Go check out every episode of TBN Chats from TK Cooper to Lizzie Everett to Rio to Ricky Knight Jr. to all the incredible guests we've lucky to have on. George, thank you again. Go check George out, and Kamikaze's running a live show in the next couple of weeks, I believe.
Yeah, it's this Sunday, the 20th of November, and then they've got one on the 3rd of December in the Mill, Birmingham. Yeah, I'm on both those. So, yeah.
I mean, the main event for the one in December already been announced. Chuck Mama versus DeReese for the Kamikaze title, which is going to be incredible. Can't wait to see you there. Obviously, good luck with everything you have coming up. Hopefully, be there for the future X Cup at Carnival as well. And you know, I wish nothing but the best, and I hope you continue smashing it, because it's been it's been great to watch so far, and I can't wait to see more of you in the future. Thanks for coming on. Again, of course, go check out the whole thing. And until next time, I've been there, MIC. This has been George Lydon. Bye, my friends.